Hello and welcome to March's virtual meeting for GEG Iowa. We are the Iowa branch for the Google Educators group, and our group is essentially devoted to connecting as many educators as possible in the state and supporting each other through learning new resources and different things like that. On the bottom of the screen right now is the URL to our website. The link is also available in the YouTube description. The website is bit.ly/GEG-Iowa, and the GEG and the I are capitalized. Our website is a one-stop shop for everything you'll need to stay connected with the group, including our future events, how to join the email discussion group, and the agendas for our meetings. With that in mind, let's dive right in. So if you want to follow along with this month's agenda, you'll want to go to the website. Once you are on the website, one of the navigation sections is called Monthly Meetings. And on there, it will have the information to the live stream, and it always has the link to our agenda. So if you click that, it will open this year's agenda, which this year, everything, like it's a running document for the entire year. So everything that we are going to talk about today and everything we have talked about in previous sessions is available on this agenda. It's separated into 3 sections. Essentially, they'll learn more with various important links about the group, which is just like the link to the website, the link to the live video feed on YouTube. There's information about me, and then there is a location where you can leave feedback if you have questions, comments, if you want to request future topics to be covered. Because as a group, we generally meet once a month, and it's generally the 3rd Wednesday of every month from 7 to 8. There are some exceptions, like this month we are actually meeting the 4th Wednesday of the month because I was traveling last Wednesday. And we will meet once throughout the summer. So all of that information can be found in our agenda. And then the second section has the monthly agendas. Each one is clickable. So if you click on today's agenda, it will take you straight to everything we're going to cover today. And then after that, everything is actually currently collapsed, but you can, on your end, expand or collapse the various agendas. So a little bit about me. My name is Whitney Bacon. Thank you for joining us today. I am the instructional designer, EdTech coach, EdTech specialist, whatever you want to call it, for the Iowa Educational Services for the blind, visually impaired. I have been there a little over 3 years now. And before that, I came in with 7.5 years of classroom experience in middle school. I have a bachelor's in elementary education with math and reading, and I have a master's in instructional technology design technology in schools. It is a mouthful, so do excuse me. As I was mentioning, there is a section in the Learn More About Us to leave your feedback. There's lots of ways that you can leave feedback. Otherwise, let's kind of talk about how this works. So every month we meet as a group, and I usually share like my top 3 whatever ed tech tools that I've been using over the last month. Today I actually will have a little more because this time around I am actually going to be sharing a condensed version of what I shared last week at a EdTech conference that I was at and I spoke at. So let's dive right in. At this EdTech conference, my presentation was called Inclusive Tech Tips, Boosting Efficiency and Accessibility for All Educators. As an instructional designer, at a school for the blind and visually impaired, we have staff who are blind and visually impaired. And I came into this position with zero special education background. So I came in as a teacher with literature and reading specialist background before I then became a technology teacher and then got my instructional technology degree on top of that. So I have been completely self-taught. The accessibility I've learned. It also greatly helps that we at ISBVI have blind and visually impaired coworkers, and we are very collaborative. So I have learned a lot from my coworkers who are blind and visually impaired, and I have lots more to learn. However, coming from a background where I was a classroom teacher with no special ed background, I did initially struggle to figure out, like, how do I make my content more accessible for all learners, whether they are children, whether they are adults. And so I have kind of come up with some just productivity tips that will not only benefit you, they will give you a little more information about accessibility and make you better at designing inclusively for all students and whatnot. So that first link under Whitney's must-have EdTech resources that says slide deck, that will take you to the entire slide deck, which I am not going to cover the entire slide deck today because a lot of the stuff on here is stuff that I've talked about in GEG Iowa. If you were not here for any of those things, like if I go to awesome screenshot, which was slide 28, I've covered that I've covered that on GEG Iowa, so check out some of my previous recordings. There is Morphic. I have covered that as well in previous ones. So we are going to focus on 5 of my tips today. And each of them, if you click on it, it will take you to that specific slide. Or you can look at the slide picker and they each have the same title as whatever the link is. So the first one we are going to look at is slide 5, and it is keyboard shortcuts. So keyboard shortcuts, this is a basic of productivity, and it's also a huge accessibility tip. The more keyboard shortcuts that you learn, it is going to enhance your productivity, but not only your productivity, it will also enhance accessibility, because there are a lot of people who require keyboard shortcuts for using an electronic device, whether they are blind, whether they are visually impaired, whether they have certain intellectual disabilities or dyslexia, stuff like that. There is some different keyboard shortcuts to be aware of. So my biggest thing with them is that I just always try to learn more and more keyboard shortcuts. I have on slide 5 shared some of my latest favorite keyboard shortcuts that I think are underused. I didn't bother including anything like everybody knows. So everybody knows Control P for print or Control C for copy. However, I have found that a lot of people do not know there is a much better option than Control V for paste. If you do Windows V, that is the clipboard history paste. And that will allow you, when you are copying and pasting, it will allow you to select from not just the last thing that you copied, but up to like 10 different things. So we're going to take a look at that. What you would do is in your settings app, and I am on Windows 11, but Windows 10 is very similar. Just in settings, you would search for, I believe it is just called clipboard settings. So clipboard history, I have clipboard history turned on, if you see here. but it says save multiple items to your clipboard. So let me show you an example with that turned on. And say I am going to copy something in right here. Let's go copy something. All right, I've highlighted this, copied that. Now I am going to come in here and I am going to paste it, which right now, again, I only copied one thing. So I've got my clipboard, but right now it only has one thing copied, okay? So it doesn't seem all that helpful. So let's go copy some other stuff. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to copy this information. Let's just copy a bunch of stuff. We're going to do next meeting. Let's copy. Oh, I like this. This is definitely something that I would do. Copy. Okay, so I've got lots of different things copied. Now right here, I am going to do the Windows V again. And now you can see I currently have, and it's scrollable, or if you're using a screen reader, your arrows to navigate. Okay, so if I were to select it without doing the little 3 vertical buttons, then it will paste it in the same format of what I copied it in. I mention that because of our next example. So we're gonna go backwards. Okay, Control-Shift-V. So Control-Shift-V is again similar to pasting. However, with the shift instead of just Control-V, it will paste it in the format of wherever you're pasting it. So notice in what just happened, when I copied this and then I pasted it using the Windows V, it pasted into this document that size and that format, that font, I should say. And if I would have done it with Control-Shift-V, so notice the difference here, versus, yeah. So I did Control-V, and then I did Control-Shift-V. And then if I pull up the Windows menu, and I then hover over this guy, and there's the 3 vertical dots, one of the options is paste it without formatting, which is this paste as text. So that's the same thing. It would do the Control-Shift-V. So those are my top 2 that I use that I highly recommend you guys use. Let's take a look at my other 3 on here. Control-Shift-T, okay? Control-Shift-T is another game changer. A lot of people may or may not know that Control-T opens a new tab and then you can do whatever you got to do. But Control-Shift-T will open whatever tab you previously closed. Every time I do this, it's going to open up everything I have opened since like I've been in this browser. Like if I close this browser and then I attempt to do it, it will not work. So that is Control-Shift-T. Windows period is another similar one. Then this one is just kind of a fun one. But if I am typing, and especially on my agenda, you'll notice I have little emojis with some of my stuff. And so if I do Windows period, then it takes me to the emoji part of that same clipboard. So, and then I can just say I want to do the party emoji. Click it and it will insert it. But this also stays open. So if I want to add more, so say I want to do the dancing lady, and then I want to do a doggy, I don't know. But yeah, so that is the emoji one. Just kind of a fun one. In that same menu, it's highly worth checking out. Like you'll notice there's GIFs I can do. So I could insert let's do, oh, I like A-Train's one. Let's do, how about game changer? Let's see if anything comes up for that. Sure, we'll do that. So there we go. I'm sorry. I forgot I was still zoomed in. I will do that again. Let me show you guys what I just did. So I did Windows period, and then I went to GIF, and then in GIF I searched Game Changer, and I clicked I think this is from, it's not from Hangover, I can't think of what it's from, but yeah, so that is worth checking out. The last keyboard shortcut I mentioned on here is an Alt key. It is my favorite Alt key. If you were not aware, there is a Alt key for pretty much every possible combination on the keypad. So if you have a keypad, awesome. If you do not have a keypad, you can still do this. You just have to do it with the row where your numbers are. But the Alt 0105 is my favorite. And when you do that, let me put it in the middle of a sentence here. I will often do it instead of parentheses. So if I were to do Alt 0105, there we go. It does an M dash, which an M dash is like a slightly longer dash. So let me show you the difference. There's dash, and then there is M dash. So there's a lot of them. Honestly, if you just start messing around with the Alt and numpad, let me just test stuff. And I think they're always 4 digits. That one is it looks like a subscript. And I don't know what I just did. I literally just hit 4 keys. We're gonna do Alt 4545. Alt 4545. Well, look at that. Yeah, so there are some weird things out there that you can do. That who knows like what you can do with it, but it is worth checking out. So those are my top 5 underused favorite keyboard shortcuts that I've used lately. And then also on this slide, there is a link to a website that I highly recommend that has a really good list of basic shortcuts. I tried to find like a website that essentially could encompass like every known shortcut on the face of the earth, and like it could denote whether it works on a Chromebook, works on a MacBook, works on, stuff like that, but I could not find that. Hopefully in the future I can find something, or maybe once I know how to code, maybe I can create a website where it's all searchable too. That would be awesome, but that is a long ways off. So that is a resource I think is worth checking out. If you look at the next one, I think it is literally the next slide after keyboard shortcuts. So we're going to go straight there. This tip about keyboard is about formatting. Okay. So this one is mostly an accessibility thing to talk about this topic, but then I have a productivity tip that aligns with this accessibility tip. So a highly recommended thing with design is that you limit your colors and fonts to 2 to 3 high contrast, simple sans serif styles. Okay, so let me unpack that. So first things first, limit the colors to 2 or 3. Okay, this this slide deck in general, I try to do 2, 3 colors, total 4. This slide in particular maybe has a little more, but the like accents that are on here are they're like tiny enough and they are not distractible. Plus they're technically a part of the background, so if someone is using a screen reader, they don't actually have to read those graphics. The only thing that it reads as a graphic is this sans serif and serif diagram, and then this guy that I'll be talking about in a second. So let me also talk about serif versus sans serif. If you don't have any idea what those are, but when you're looking at fonts and you've noticed that some of them are called something sans versus if they don't have any word after sans. A sans serif means it does not have serifs. Serifs are the fancy little things on some fonts. So in this example here with the serif, it has it circled which ones are the serifs, but there are just in the uppercase A and the lowercase a. In the uppercase A, there are 5 serifs. In the lowercase a, there are 2. So it's just like the fancy stuff that hangs off that is not necessary and is not what you learn when you first learn calligraphy, or what do you want to call it, writing, handwriting. And then a sans serif font just doesn't have those bells and whistles. Some people would maybe ask on the lower a if that tiny little like heel is a serif. It is not. It is part of the standard agreed upon what a lowercase a looks like. So that is one recommendation. When possible, choose a sans serif font. It is much easier for people to read from a variety of different learning styles, visual. It's just much better readability wise. So then another tip that will make you more productive is the paint format, or the format painter button, which is available in pretty much every single word processing platform that you've used. I have realized and noticed that a lot of people do not know that it exists or how it is helpful. So it exists in everything Google related, it exists in everything Microsoft related, but it will look generally like a paintbrush or a paint roller, something like that. And essentially what it does is that it allows you to swiftly copy and apply the formatting from one spot to another spot within the same document. So on the next slide, so if you're following along on my presentation, we are currently on slide 6. Slide 7 has a demo for you. I am going to demo it while we are on together. So first things first, again, I forgot that I do not have access to this. Apparently, with my personal account, I don't have access. So we need to grant me access. One sec for me to do the next spot. Oops, I also spelled stuff wrong. Bear with me. Okay. We are going to share this access, and we do not need to notify me. Share anyway. Okie dokie. All right, so now if I share, or if I update it, beautiful, I don't care right now. Okay, so there are instructions on this slide, but it says that you'll select the text that you want to, or select the text that you want to copy, like you want it to look like this other text. Then you're going to select the button, and then you'll select all the text that you want to apply this formatting to. Okay, so first things first, let me zoom in and show you guys which button I'm talking about. It is right after the print icon and before the zoom in icon. Right now, if you are following along and can see my screen, you will notice it is grayed out and I cannot do anything with it. That's because I don't actually have anything selected. So I'm going to select something and then I'm going to click it. Okay, so this guy is what I am going to demo this tip with. So I am, like, this is not the stuff I want to change it to. I want this guy to become this format, okay? So I'm just going to click somewhere in this, and then I'm going to go click that button. And another tip, if I click it once, then it will only work one time. So right now, if I were to click this fringilla, notice it changed the background from the color I had it set to now white because it's applying it to the entire thing. However, because I just clicked the word itself, it only changed this word. However, I can change the entire thing if let me go back one. If I instead this time, I'm going to click it once, and then I'm going to click this guy, and then now I am going to actually like click and select everything I want to change before I let go of my mouse. So, oh, I might not have selected the button. Okay, here we go. There we go. And obviously right now that's a little more than I actually wanted to, so we are going to decrease it a little. But just for the purposes of showing you, I wanted to show you that. The other thing I was saying, if I go back, is if I actually click this icon twice, like double click it, it will actually stay clicked and it will allow me to click more than once. You'll see what I mean in a sec here. So I am going to click this guy because that's what I want to model everything from. And then I'm going to just start clicking and I don't have to go back to that button. So I go one, boom, boom, boom. So yeah, since I have it selected, it is still letting me change all that stuff as I go. So I'm going to actually unselect it and leave it at that. It looks like a mess, but that is okay. So that is the Paint format. It is in Google, like everything Google-wise, so Google Sheets, Google Docs and stuff like that. It's called Paint format. In Word and in like PowerPoint, it's called, what did I call it on the other page? It's called Format Painter, and that looks like a paintbrush. But yeah, so anytime you're using a website, I don't know if Facebook has the option, probably not. But anytime that you are typing, look for an option that looks like a paintbrush or paint roller, paint something, and it will probably function very similarly to this. So that is my paint format recommendation. Let's look at our third one. Okay, AltText. Let's discuss AltText. Okay, if you, like me, if you, like me, have currently in your education experience little to no special ed background, you may not know what AltText is. I did not know what AltText was when I first started this job. I think I probably looked it up when I knew I was going to interview, but AltText is essentially just for any non-textual item, you can apply AltText, which is just a short description that will be read out on a screen reader, because people who use screen readers, they have everything be read to them. How we can visually see and we can listen, they are accessing that information with the alt text. So anytime that you're going to have an image in any kind of way, whether you're sending it an email or whatever, highly recommend that you add alt text. Most platforms now allow you to add alt text. That used to not be the case. Like, I know a lot of people love Canva. Canva for the longest time did not have this capability. It now has it. And like Facebook previously, you could not add alt text to images that you were posting. Same thing, LinkedIn. All of these different websites have now added that capability. There is not currently any major way to write the alt text, like to generate it with AI. You can try, but I still highly recommend that you, as the human, check what AI might generate and make sure it is a good description. So in Google stuff, oops, I don't know how to type. In Google, and I lost the slide I was on. What slide was I on? Sorry. Alt text. That's right. Alt text. This was much further down here. Okay. So in alt text, in Google Suite, you can access the alt text menu by right clicking and then alt text. And then you can write whatever you're doing. And all of that. One tip also is you do not need to say graphic of. When it is read out, it literally says graphic of. It will read whatever type of thing it is, or image of, la-da-da-da-da, stuff like that. So you try to do everything with that. A great recommendation with this is to use the text extractor tool within, did I have that? Yeah. Within PowerToys, which that is, I have talked about PowerToys in a previous meeting, in a previous GEG Iowa, so check it out. But essentially, if you have PowerToys, which is something you just need to install, highly recommend. In this slide deck, there is information about it as well. I'm just not going to focus on it today because I've already talked about it. But if you want to check it out, that is on slide 10. But this, one of the tools in that is called Text Extractor. And I will use this sometimes for AltText, just when I know I need to type some of the stuff that is on the image and I just don't want to have to manually type it. So I'm going to actually use it right now to copy some of the text on this slide's graphic where it says Power Apps, Microsoft Corporation, 128 in business, and that's free. I would love it to copy these ratings. I would even love it to have this app is available only on, and then I would probably modify it slightly. So I already have this installed. I'm just going to do Windows Shift T. And then it becomes a crosshair, which I am not sure if this is currently being displayed while live. We're going to find out. So then I'm just going to outline the image. And then it doesn't really like notify, tell you whether it worked or not. You just got to go, oh, you got to like, it'll be pasted. Like it'll be copied. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to open AltText. And then I am going to paste whatever it just did. Oh, and of course my beautiful face is in the way. I'm sorry. And then I will zoom in for you guys as well. So this is what it detected, which it did an awesome job. I still want to check it. App Store preview. The app is, this app is available only in the App Store. I love all that. Power Apps, Microsoft Corporation. Yeah. And note again with, I mean, that's perfect. I don't know if I would change much about it. I would maybe get rid of some of the extra, like if I'm using a screen reader, I don't need all of these to be on their own lines. I could maybe get rid of that. That's really, it only matters to us that it is all separated like that. But also my previous step talked about that you want to make it as brief as possible. So I still would probably want to modify this a little bit so that they recommend, I think, like 150 characters, that you try to do under 150 characters. But sometimes you're not, and I don't know if I can check how many characters I got right now. But sometimes if you really want to emphasize what is in the image, then you might need to go over 150. So that is the a little bit about AltText and Text Extractor if you are interested. And remember, Text Extractor requires that you have Microsoft PowerToys, which is included on this same presentation. It is on slide 10 of the presentation. And I also have a meeting. Actually, I have 2 GEG Iowa meetings where we focused on that. Okie dokie. Then next, on this slide, I've got some information about accessibility checkers. So again, especially if you are a novice at accessibility, you possibly do not know, next to nothing about accessibility. So generally, when you have a document that is ready to go, we highly recommend that you check its accessibility, which these checkers can flag a lot of like main things, like does each slide in this slide deck have a title? Is there a reading order? Are they completely out of order? Stuff like that. But I have 4 great recommendations. 2 of them are like ones that already come installed. So Adobe comes with, like, if you have Adobe Acrobat, it is built in to it. So you just need to look for the accessibility tools when you are using Adobe. And then Microsoft also has an accessibility checker. Same thing, just look under, I think it's like under review, when you're in PowerPoint or Word, stuff like that. And then it will let you check accessibility that way. My favorite is Grackle. which I think I have an example on the next slide as well. But Grackle is awesome. It runs on a freemium model, which meaning there is no, actually, it doesn't even have that. It has a free trial. But one thing I noticed is that, like, my free trial has expired and I can still use Grackle. And I can still use a lot of its features. There's just some things that it will not let me do. So it's very simple. You install this extension, which the link on here tells you more about the Grackle, and it will walk you through like installing it and stuff like that. But those are worth checking out. This other one is another similar extension that you can add to like Google Docs and stuff like that, but it's much simpler than Grackle. So if you just want to run something, like, it runs much faster. So if you're just wanting to double check real quick, I use both of these. I use Grackle and the lovely API when I am checking Google Documents. So that is the accessibility checkers. Those are my like main things I want to talk about today. But a reminder, there's a lot more in here that I highly would recommend you check out. And then the last one on here is not really a productivity tip, but it is an app that I would highly recommend that everybody use if they want to be an ally. Because essentially, Be My Eyes is a app where you can sign up to be a volunteer for someone who is blind or low vision. They will call you and ask you to help them with some kind of day-to-day task. So I've got a couple of different examples on this slide. We're on slide 30 of the same presentation, but like they might need help reading a label. Like they might be out shopping and they're like, well, which one of these has this ingredient or doesn't have, you know, like if they're trying to avoid GMOs or something, I don't know. Or if like they need help finding something in the kitchen, stuff like that. But yeah, it is completely free. And like it uses volunteers, but then also if no live volunteer is available when someone is attempting to call, then AI can be used, and their AI is also getting really good. So check out Be My Eyes. And that is, again, like I said, the majority of this. Check out the stuff that I have though. And then let's go back to here. I always try to end my session with some kind of like bonus, a game or something, or somehow related to the topic, just to kind of have fun and just to, you know, might as well give you as many cool resources as possible. So the bonus that I have for you today is called Every Hex. If you go to this website, if you know what a hex color is as someone who designs content, and especially as someone who wants to make sure their content is accessible for as many people as possible, color is extremely important, and how you use color is extremely important. This tool has AI built in, but it has every color under the sun. And I honestly haven't played with this too much. But it lets you, like, I don't even honestly know too much about it, but like you can find out lots of stuff about them. You can like tell it to give you something completely random. You can like, if it has a name for a color, you can attempt to search by that color. So say I'm looking for dolphin. I'm curious to see if any color out there has the name dolphin. Apparently not. I probably need to pick something a little more standard, like something blood, or maybe crimson. I don't know how to place crimson. Or maybe, I'm like, maybe I don't know how to use it correctly. Yeah, search by colors by name. Maybe I don't know a lot of names. Let's try. I don't even know if I know how to spell chartreuse. Let me see what AI does. Maybe AI will help me with some of those words I don't know. Let's say blood. Okay. So this time it did work. So it's using AI to like not only, because like all of these names for these, yeah, I don't think it has. Yeah, they don't have the names available on here, but it can use AI to figure out, oh, what are you trying to describe? So if I were to try to describe a pineapple, let's see what colors it comes up with. So that's kind of cool. I wonder if like it works for like emotion. So like, what if I said sad? Okay, that's a very interesting spread. What if I said loneliness, which I'm betting it's gonna come up with something very close. Okay, but yeah, so definitely worth checking out. Kind of cool. I don't know 100% what all it does, but it's something that I found recently and I really like it. So I wanted to share it with others in case they find some cool use for it. I thought there was a lot more you could do, but notice they have 16.7 million colors stored in here. So lots of cool stuff. That, guys, is everything for March's meeting. I have, as we've been going, I've been looking to see if there was any comments or anything. The lovely person who commented a second ago can get blocked. No, just kidding. Yeah, that is everything for today. I don't think there's any questions, comments, or resources that people want to share. Little information about when we are meeting next. Next month, we'll be meeting on April 16th. And then for this school year, our last meeting this school year is going to be in May 21st. Then we'll take a month off, and then I will be coming back in July for a summer session. But otherwise, guys, I will see you next month on April 16th, which is only like 3 weeks away, I believe. So, that is all. I will have to talk to you guys later.